You step forward into a place that feels unlike anywhere you have ever been. The air is warm, almost comforting, and it carries a subtle pulse, like a hidden heartbeat, thrumming through invisible walls. As you move farther inside, you realize you are no longer in a simple room or corridor, but within something alive. The ground beneath you is not stone or steel, but tissue, soft and springy, as if it is breathing along with you. The ceiling curves upward in smooth arches, gleaming in deep shades of crimson and rose, as though painted with living light. This is not decoration. This is the surface of an organ, and not just any organ. You have stepped inside the uterus, the quiet, powerful sanctuary where every human life begins. You pause to take in the scale of it. In reality, the uterus is no larger than a small pear, hardly impressive in size. But here, within Anatomy Park, it has been expanded into a landscape, a chamber large enough to walk through, a cathedral of living tissue. You feel the enormity of its purpose in the way the walls hum faintly around you. It is not loud, not overwhelming, but steady and patient, like a timeless engine that has never stopped running. You sense at once that this is a place of preparation, of waiting, of cycles repeated endlessly. The surface closest to you gleams with a moist sheen. It looks soft, like velvet carpet, and it seems to invite you to run your hand across it. This is the innermost lining of the uterus, the endometrium. Its folds are lush, its surface ready, but it is not static. You can almost see it change before your eyes, thickening and swelling, as though it is rehearsing for something. You realize that this layer is not permanent. It is built up each month, prepared in case an embryo should arrive. If no embryo comes, it will shed away and rebuild again, tireless, devoted to its task. It is like a stage that is always reset for the next performance. A stage that has no certainty but never loses hope. Beneath this soft lining, you feel the power of something deeper. The walls are not just soft carpet, but strong muscle layered beneath. This is the myometrium, a fortress of muscular fibers. For now, they are silent, resting, coiled like ropes waiting to be tugged. But you know their strength. These muscles are capable of contractions so powerful, they can push an entire baby into the world. For the moment, they keep their silence, but the quiet hum of their potential makes the chamber feel charged, as though you are standing above a sleeping giant. And around it all, barely noticed, lies a thin protective coat, the perimetrium. It is a sheath that covers and guards, simple in appearance but essential. Without it, the constant shifting and pressing of surrounding organs would wear the uterus down. With it, the organ stays protected, polished, complete. Each layer has a role, each one adding to the balance of softness, strength, and endurance. You walk deeper into the chamber and feel the rhythm of change under your feet. The uterus is never still. It lives in cycles, and each cycle is both predictable and astonishing. Estrogen rises, and the endometrium thickens, lush and green like a meadow after rain. Progesterone follows, stabilizing the growth, enriching the lining, preparing it further. It is all a quiet invitation, an unspoken promise. Here is a place ready to nourish life. If an embryo arrives, the invitation will be accepted. If none comes, the promise is withdrawn, and the endometrium collapses, shedding itself as menstruation. You can almost hear the sigh of release as the old is let go and space is cleared for the new. It is not defeat, but renewal, a cycle that never loses rhythm. Month after month, the walls prepare, wait, and reset, faithful to their purpose. Looking upward, your eyes catch two elegant arches leading away from the chamber. These are the fallopian tubes, narrow passageways stretching like bridges into the distance. They are the gateways, the entrances through which life may arrive. You picture a tiny egg drifting down one of those passages, so small it cannot be seen with the naked eye, yet carrying in its nucleus the possibility of an entire human being. If sperm travels upward and meets it there, a spark ignites, and a new life begins its journey toward this chamber. If the embryo makes it here, the endometrium is ready to welcome it, to cradle it, to nourish it. If not, the arches remain still. The cycle continues, and the preparation begins again. Drawn by curiosity, you continue toward the base of the chamber. The space narrows here, the walls firmer, less yielding. Ahead of you lies the cervix, the sentinel at the gateway of the uterus. It looks like a small passage, tightly closed, and it radiates an aura of determination. The cervix guards the chamber with quiet authority, keeping out what does not belong and holding in what must be kept safe. Most of the time it is firm and sealed, a closed gate, yet it is not unchanging. Under hormonal signals, it softens, allowing the passage of sperm upward or menstrual blood downward. And when the time comes for birth, this small tight gate transforms, opening wide enough for an entire infant to pass through. To see it now, narrow and unyielding, you can hardly imagine such a transformation, yet that is its power. Resilience, flexibility, strength in service of life. As you stand near the cervix, you notice the flow of blood around you. Arteries and veins weave like living rivers through the walls. They are not random, but purposeful, spiraling inward, curving outward, carrying nourishment to every fold of the endometrium, every coil of the myometrium. Among them, the spiral arteries stand out. They dive deep into the endometrium, their shape designed with intention, ready to supply a placenta if pregnancy occurs. It is a remarkable design, a vascular architecture that exists here and nowhere else in the body. You realize how every detail of this organ is crafted for possibility, every curve and vessel devoted to sustaining life. You linger in the center of the chamber, closing your eyes to absorb it all. The warmth, the rhythm, the quiet hum of potential. It all surrounds you like an invisible current. The uterus does not shout. It does not boast. Its power is patient, steady, unyielding. It prepares. It waits. It transforms when the moment arrives. And in its silence lies the knowledge that every person who has ever lived began here, cradled within walls like these. Humanity itself has its roots in this sanctuary. The thought humbles you. The uterus may be small, hidden, overlooked in daily life, but it is the beginning of every generation. It is both ordinary and extraordinary, a place that repeats the same rituals over and over, and yet holds the potential for creation each time. The ride is only beginning, and yet you already sense the gravity of where you are. You have seen the lush carpet of the endometrium, the coiled strength of the myometrium, the protective shell of the perimetrium. You have gazed at the arches of the fallopian tubes and stood at the sentinel gate of the cervix. You have felt the pulse of bloodlines and the rhythm of cycles. And yet, this is only the surface. Ahead lies more, the full spectacle of menstruation, the drama of pregnancy, the thunder of labor, the resilience of renewal. You are standing in the quiet before the storm, in a chamber that is both sanctuary and powerhouse. And as you prepare to move forward, the ride beckons you deeper, promising secrets yet to be revealed. You continue your journey through the chamber, feeling the ground beneath your feet shift slightly, as though it is alive with a rhythm of its own. The cycle you glimpsed earlier begins to reveal itself more vividly now. It is not just a silent transformation of tissue. It is a story of preparation, rejection, renewal, and hope played out with absolute precision. The walls around you shimmer, and you sense the first act unfolding. The endometrium thickens under the influence of hormones, responding to estrogen as though to a conductor's baton. You see the tissue becoming more elaborate, the folds more intricate, almost like a lush garden blooming after spring rains. It is a garden that waits for a seed. Progesterone arrives, stabilizing the scene, securing the delicate structures that would embrace and nourish an embryo if one should appear. You feel the optimism in the air, the way every cell seems to lean forward in expectation. But not every cycle fulfills its promise. And when no embryo comes, the transformation begins again. The tissue, once lush and full, begins to break down. Blood vessels constrict. Tissue disintegrates, and the lining is shed. You feel the release as if the chamber is exhaling, letting go of what it had prepared. This is menstruation. Not a failure, but a reset, a cleansing, a renewal. You sense the resilience in this act, the courage to clear away and start fresh again, cycle after cycle. As you walk further, the cycle becomes almost cinematic, replaying before your eyes in a loop. Build, wait, release, renew. Each stage has its own beauty. The lush building, the hopeful waiting, the dramatic release, the calm renewal. You begin to understand why so many describe the uterus as a clock within the body, its rhythm marking time, not by hours or minutes, but by the rise and fall of tissue and blood. The path takes you upward again, toward the arches of the fallopian tubes you saw earlier. You step closer now and notice the fine feathery ends of the tubes, the fimbriae. They sway gently, almost like sea anemones drifting in invisible currents. Their task is delicate and exact, to capture an egg released from the ovary and guide it into the tube. The egg is small, fragile, and fleeting, viable for only a short window of time. Yet in that brief span, it carries extraordinary potential. The fimbriae wave and beckon, a silent choreography to catch the traveler. You follow the imagined journey of that egg. It drifts into the fallopian tube, a passage that feels both narrow and infinite. Here is where chance meets destiny. If sperm has made the long, perilous journey upward, this is where the meeting occurs. A single sperm penetrates the egg, and the spark of conception ignites. You imagine the moment, microscopic, invisible to the naked eye, yet more profound than any firework or explosion. It is the beginning of something entirely new. The embryo begins its slow descent down the tube, dividing and multiplying as it travels. By the time it reaches the uterine chamber, it is already a cluster of cells, a blueprint for a future being. You picture it entering the lush endometrium, burrowing gently into the folds, embedding itself into the lining. The walls embrace it, tissues intertwine, and a connection is formed that will last for months to come. The endometrium, once a waiting carpet, transforms into a nourishing bed, anchoring the embryo and supporting its growth. The moment implantation occurs, the atmosphere in the chamber changes. The uterus shifts from preparation to guardianship. The endometrium no longer waits for possibilities, but commits fully to the new arrival. Blood vessels expand, spiral arteries grow more elaborate, and the placenta begins to form, knitting itself into both maternal and fetal systems. You sense the magnitude of this transformation. The uterus has become a sanctuary, a fortress, and a life support system all at once. As you explore further, the scale of pregnancy begins to reveal itself. The uterus, once no larger than a pear, will expand to hold a full-term baby, placenta, and amniotic fluid. The walls stretch, the muscles accommodate, the chamber becomes vast. You imagine the changes how month by month the uterus rises out of the pelvis, pressing against neighboring organs, reshaping the body around it. What was once small and discreet grows into a dominant presence, commanding space, demanding attention. You pause to take in the weight of this transformation. Few organs in the body can change so dramatically in size and function. The uterus is not simply an organ. It is a shapeshifter, a builder, a guardian. It is capable of stretching more than 20 times its normal size, yet returning afterward, resilient, scarred perhaps, but enduring. As you look around the chamber, you feel the power of the myometrium stir again, a reminder of what lies ahead. Pregnancy is not the end of the story, but the beginning of another transformation. Labor. You can almost feel the waves of contraction, echoing faintly through the muscle. Rehearsals for the storm to come. The myometrium is like an orchestra waiting for its cue. Silent now, but capable of thunder. The cervix, too, looms ahead with new significance. For months it will remain sealed, a sentinel keeping the growing life safe within. But when the time comes, it will soften, thin, and open, transforming from a firm barrier into a wide passage. The thought astonishes you, that something so narrow and unyielding can yield so profoundly when the moment demands. You move closer to the walls and notice the network of blood vessels again, now more vivid, more abundant. They have multiplied, deepened, expanded in preparation for sustaining both mother and child. The placenta, forming like a living bridge, will link two circulatory systems without ever mingling their blood directly. Oxygen, nutrients, waste, all will flow across this interface, sustaining the growing child with astonishing precision. You imagine the sounds of pregnancy layered into this chamber, the steady rhythm of the mother's heartbeat, the swish of blood through the placenta, the tiny flutter of a fetal heartbeat echoing faintly in the distance. The chamber feels alive, not just with one life, but with two, intertwined yet distinct. The longer you linger, the more you sense the patience required of the uterus. Pregnancy is not a moment, but a journey of months. And throughout it all, the uterus adapts, adjusts, accommodates. It is not without strain. The stretching, the shifting, the pressure on surrounding organs. Yet it persists, devoted to its task. It is a balance of resilience and vulnerability, strength and delicacy. You stand still, letting the enormity of it sink in. This small organ, so often overlooked, has carried the weight of humanity for millennia. Every person who has ever lived was once sheltered in a space like this, nourished by its walls, sustained by its vessels, pushed into the world by its contractions. To walk through it now is to walk through the beginning of every story. And yet, the climax of this story has not arrived. The contractions that lie ahead, the crescendo of labor, the extraordinary act of birth, all wait further along the ride. You feel the anticipation building, the chamber holding its breath, preparing for the storm. The cycle of waiting, of welcoming, of sustaining is almost complete. Soon it will release, with a force and drama unlike anything else in the body. You know you are not at the end of the ride, only approaching its most powerful moment. The uterus has shown you its cycles of preparation, its ability to nourish, its resilience in transformation, but the ultimate act, labor and delivery, remains ahead. You feel the pull to keep moving, to witness the final act of this extraordinary organ. The path beckons, leading you deeper into the chamber, where the quiet power will finally erupt into thunder. The ride is far from over, and the most unforgettable part is just around the corner. You press forward, the corridor widening into a cavern that glows with a deep, pulsing rhythm. The walls shimmer with an intricate network of vessels that sparkle like crimson constellations, each one carrying nourishment, each one carrying life. You sense you're approaching the very heart of this place, the chamber that has shaped generations of human existence. The floor beneath your feet feels softer now, almost cushion-like, as though every step carries you closer to something sacred. A faint hum echoes in the air, a resonance that feels less like sound and more like a vibration reaching into your chest. You realize that this must be the central chamber of the uterus itself, the space where possibilities take form, where microscopic beginnings transform into living stories. You tilt your gaze upward, and suddenly, the cavern expands into a vast dome. Smooth, glistening walls curve in a perfect, protective arc, like an amphitheater of biology. This is the endometrial chamber, the sacred inner lining, the velvet stage, prepared month after month for the possibility of new life. You notice that the walls themselves aren't static. They shimmer, shift, and seem to breathe in gentle waves. Each cycle, they grow thick and lush, like a forest floor layering itself with soft moss and leaves, waiting for the chance that something extraordinary might take root. And if no seed arrives, the walls reset, shedding in a rhythm that has pulsed across time, across history, across every lineage. You pause for a moment, letting that sink in. How many generations have begun right here, in a chamber just like this? How many entire family trees sprouted from a spark? Nourished in this quiet, hidden sanctuary, the thought sends a shiver down your spine. This place is not only anatomy, it is memory, it is legacy, it is the architecture of human continuity. You step further into the chamber, and suddenly, beams of soft golden light stream from above. They seem to emerge from openings high in the dome, tunnels you recognize as the fallopian entrances. Those two gateways, the left and right, pour light into this chamber, like twin stars shining through the cathedral roof. Each opening is a reminder of the delicate meeting point where possibility begins, where egg and sperm might converge in their improbable cosmic dance. As you stand in the center of the chamber, you hear a quiet voice in your mind, almost as if the chamber itself is whispering, "This is where potential waits. This is where future worlds might be written." You realize that in a way, the uterus is both an engine and a cradle, an engine of renewal, driving forward the unbroken rhythm of life, and a cradle, offering protection to something fragile, until it is ready to face the outside world. The more you take in the details, the more you notice that nothing here is wasted. The lining adjusts with precision. The blood supply routes are orchestrated like music, delivering nutrients exactly where they are needed. Hormonal signals arrive like messengers, ensuring that every step is coordinated. It is a system that has been perfected over millions of years of evolution, refined into a masterpiece of preparation and timing. You continue walking, tracing your hand along the curved wall. The surface feels both soft and resilient, an odd duality, gentle to touch, yet strong enough to expand, to stretch, to transform beyond imagination. You recall that this space can grow from the size of a small pear to something vast enough to cradle new life for months. That adaptability humbles you. You feel as if you are standing in the grand hall of a structure that can remodel itself according to its guest. And then, for the first time, you notice something subtle, the faint echoes of past rhythms. The chamber seems to remember. Each cycle leaves behind a trace, not physical perhaps, but energetic. It's as if this place carries not only biology, but also history, emotion, and even story. At that moment, you wonder, how many stories could these walls tell if they could speak? They would tell of the cycles that never met with conception, of the pregnancies carried, of the heartbreaks and triumphs, of the mothers and families shaped here. They would speak of generations, not in textbooks, but in lived realities. As the thought deepens, the chamber grows brighter. The walls seem to glow with a warmth that feels both maternal and commanding. It feels like standing in a temple, one built not of stone, but of cells, blood, and time. You turn slowly in a circle, looking from wall to wall, then up toward the glowing fallopian entrances above. And you realize something profound. You are inside a structure that is at once ordinary and miraculous. Ordinary, because billions of humans have had it. Miraculous, because it has shaped every single life on Earth. There is not a single human alive who does not owe their existence, in part, to this chamber. You step back toward the corridor you entered from, feeling the weight of what you've witnessed. The uterus is no longer just an anatomical word in a textbook. For you, it has become a place, a living park of biology, a cathedral of cycles, a sanctuary of beginnings. As the golden light fades and you prepare to exit, you hear one final echo, like a soft heartbeat. Remember this chamber. Carry its story with you, because every organ has a voice, and every system, a tale worth telling. You smile, stepping out of the chamber and into the corridor. Already, you feel anticipation for the next journey. The body is a park filled with wonders, and you've only just begun the tour. So, if this journey amazed you, if walking through the uterus made you see the body in an entirely new light, don't keep that wonder to yourself. Share it. Leave a comment about what struck you most. Subscribe to keep exploring, and invite someone else to join us here in Anatomy Park. Because next time, we're traveling deeper still, into systems and organs whose stories are waiting to be told. And with that, the chamber doors close behind you, leaving you with the unforgettable memory of having walked through the very room where humanity begins.